This 1 Degree Outside video is sponsored by the Topsfield Fair, America's oldest fair. You can pre-order your admission, meal, and ride tickets today at topsfieldfair.org and join the fun October 4th through 14th, conveniently located on Route 1, just off of Interstate 95.
Hi, folks. Tuesday morning insights for you. That deeper dive into meteorology. Matt Noyce, wonderful to be with you. All of our videos all the time, 1degreeoutside.com. All right, big area high pressure that's built across not just the Northeast, not just the East, but really a lot of the country. That area high pressure holding at bay a lot of the moisture that's associated with Francine, the tropical system that is headed in toward Louisiana. The latest on Francine, as of this Tuesday morning recording, 65-mile-per-hour wind as a tropical storm, but still predicted by the National Hurricane Center to strengthen to a Category 2 storm on its way to what will be a late Wednesday landfall around the south coast of Louisiana, then slowing down and cranking out a lot of rain. If you figure that a lot of the eastern United States has cooler, drier air for the most part that's in place, that's going to collide with the tropical air associated with Francine and crank out a lot of rain. And we'll get to that in a minute. In terms of wind damage, you can see where the most exceptional wind damage would be, which is the south coast of Louisiana. It drops to isolated wind damage by the time you get up toward Jackson. All right, so the storm does weaken as it makes its way farther inland. But again, I think rain's going to be a big issue. Storm surge is interesting. This is a little bit of an educational moment for us here in New England because we're so far removed. We can look, and I can actually share something with you that's very important to know about storm surge forecasts and hurricanes. So when you look at the most likely storm surge that we've got here from our Q-Risk storm surge forecast, the oranges that you see is where you have 6 to 9 foot storm surge, big area of yellow and blue that represents 3 to 6 or 0 to 3 foot surge. This is nowhere near a match to the National Hurricane Center storm surge forecast. You ready for me to switch it to the Hurricane Center forecast? You ready? Here we go. As I make that switch on the same view, look at this. Everything in red is where you've got 9 to 12 foot predicted storm surge. Why is it so different from the Hurricane Center? Here's the key word, peak. National Hurricane Center always is forecasting 90th percentile. So in other words, almost totally worst case scenario storm surge. Why? Because of 2 reasons. 1, if the storm timing changes, it were to come in at the peak of high tide, that's one factor. 2, if the storm ends up stronger than anticipated. Those would be 2 major factors in changing the forecast storm surge. Now, this can be a little bit misleading, though, right? This is why a lot of folks say the storm surge wasn't as bad as it was predicted to be. Well, the most likely prediction is the first one that we showed you. But the 90th percentile, the worst case scenario, is the one that the National Hurricane Center puts out. It makes sense when you think about it, right? The Hurricane Center, part of NOAA, which is the branch of the government, preparedness, safety is all paramount. And so that's why they're always going to prepare folks for that worst case scenario rather than what is perhaps the most likely. Does that make sense? Meanwhile, high pressure that's in charge across the eastern United States is going to hold firm. So, yeah, on the clockwise flow around the high pressure, you're going to end up funneling in some moisture from the tropics, too, ahead of Francine. Francine, of course, has a counterclockwise flow, so you're going to pull in some of the moisture there as well, and that all contributes to the amount of rain that will fall. But not here. We actually get a backup cold front, a second cold front. It comes in, cools us down, yes, but more importantly, just reinforces the dry air. You may get a shower on Friday when that cold front comes through. On Saturday, it's still clearing through southern New England. It's turning the wind out of the northeast. You cool it down to the coast, but it just locks in really beautiful weather, but dry weather. We'll touch on that in a minute. So when you look at the rain, 2 to 3 inches of rain that comes down in the yellow, and then as you get into the oranges, the reds, the purples is where you get 6, 8, 10 inches of rain in spots that'll come down. In terms of pattern predictions, I didn't bring that to you yesterday, so I want to fit that in here just to look at the next 14 days. It's very quiet. If you look, the jet stream pattern really never gets close to us. The westerlies are not steering big disturbances at us. The one thing to watch is actually some of the energy and moisture with Francine may get so stuck across the southern United States that by the time we get around the 20th or 21st, if it can hold together and wander to the coast, you might throw some showers up or some rain up into New England, again, in that 2021 time frame. But at this point, I wouldn't bet on that. It's also possible it stays south of us. And other than that, there really are no signs of any type of significant precipitation. So you look at the 14-day precipitation chance, it goes up a little with that cold front on Friday. And other than that, there it is, 21st, 22nd, if you can see that stuff organized to the south. And if not, not even then for the most part. I think the moral of the story here is that if you have a dug well, you want to start thinking about conserving water. It's going to be a dry couple of weeks, at least, by the way it looks. And the other part of this is if you do any irrigation by rainwater, conservation becomes really important for you as well. In terms of temperature, very, very pleasant. Look at the next 14 days, you're either in the 70s or 80s all the way across the board, right? If you go day by day, just let's finish out the week. We'll do it for you. Wednesday, tomorrow, we're going to be running in the mid-70s. Wednesday night, down to the 50s, 40s for some of the cooler spots. Thursday, you climb up to about 80. Friday, we're likely to continue to climb for many, but not in the far north country. Remember, that cold front drops in. And actually, Saturday, with a northeasterly wind, it cools us down right at the coastline, while inland may still be able to make a run to 80. Either way, it's really nice weather. Again, we'll just watch that low chance of a shower with the cold front Friday. If you want to evaluate it for your neighborhood, I don't blame you. Best way to do it is with our app. Noise's 1 degree outside weather. Search it on the App Store or Google Play. We'll see you again with an Evening Insights later on. Hope you have a great rest of your day.